Ooh, this woman is studying for the CELPIP exam, and she's studying for reading task 3. Reading task 3. And she is using my book to help her prepare for the exam. Hey, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has bought this book and my other CELPIP books. I'm really proud of, the support that you have given me. I feel very honored, and I'm so happy to help you. A lot of people have commented on my videos and they've said, Mark, I'm so happy. Your books have really helped me. So that makes me really happy to know that my videos and my books are helping you. So I just want to say thank you so much for supporting my work. I really hope you can pass the CELPIP test and then just forget about it forever. Once you pass, get the mark you want, whether it's an 8 or a 9 or whatever, then you can just forget about it forever for the rest of your life. That would be great. Okay, so let's take a look at reading task 3. Now this is reading for information. Reading for information. Now this is an interesting question because there are 4 paragraphs here and 9 questions. And you have to match the information in each of these questions with which paragraph the information is in. And if it's not in any paragraph, then you choose E, not in any paragraph. Now, this question might seem pretty intimidating. Intimidating means scary. Okay, there's a lot of, information, a lot of big words probably in these paragraphs that you don't understand, but don't worry, it's actually not that bad because you don't need to understand everything. You just need to match the right information with the right question, right? That's all it is. You don't need to understand the reading passage. You just need to match them, okay? So don't worry too much if you see some words that you don't understand. You can probably still figure out which information goes where. Okay, so let's talk about strategy. Now, what do you think is the best strategy for this task? Well, most people probably read the whole reading passage and then start to answer the questions here. The problem with that is that it's a long passage. I mean, probably 400 words, maybe more, okay? And you're going to forget which paragraph the information is in. By the time you finish reading it, you won't remember which paragraph it's in. Okay, now some people might want to read the questions first and then, see if they can read the passage and answer the questions. Okay, I think those are 2 good strategies for some other tasks. Okay, for other tasks, not this task. I think because there's too much information here, you won't remember it, and there's too much information there. So the strategy I would recommend for this task is to read 1 paragraph at a time. Okay, so you read this paragraph and then scan the questions to see if there is information that matches with that paragraph. Okay, you'll probably find maybe 2 or 3 here that match with that one. So let's say you answer this one, and this one. Okay, then you forget about the rest and you read this passage or this paragraph here. Okay, and then after you finish reading this paragraph, then you scan the questions again and try to find some matching information. And then you keep doing it until the last paragraph, and then probably most of the questions will be answered. So it gets easier and easier each paragraph you read. I think that is the best strategy. I mean, everybody is different. Everybody has different ideas of what strategy works for them. So you should find the strategy that works best for you. But in my opinion, this is the best one. Okay, so let's actually take a look at this question. This is one of the questions from my book. It's about maple syrup. Okay, so let's take a look using my strategy. Okay, so here's the first paragraph. Maple syrup is a syrup usually made from the xylem sap of sugar maple, red maple, or black maple trees, although it can be made from other maple species. In cold climates, these trees store starch in their trunks and roots before winter. The starch is then converted to sugar that rises in the sap in late winter and early spring. Maple trees are tapped by drilling holes into their trunks and collecting the exuded sap, which is processed by heating to evaporate much of the water, leaving the concentrated syrup. Okay, do you understand what this is talking about? There are probably a few words you don't understand, like exuded. You might not understand that. Okay, don't worry about that. Let's scan the questions and see if we can find some of the matching information. The first question says, the maple leaf is a national symbol of Canada. Did the paragraph say anything about a national symbol of Canada? No, it didn't. Okay, so we can move to the next one. So several types of maple trees produce the sap to make maple syrup. Yes, it did say that, right? So we put A there. Look, it says here, maple syrup is made from the sap of the sugar maple, red maple, black maple, and it can be made from other species. Okay, so several types of maple trees produce the sap to make, yes, that information matches, right? So it's in paragraph A. So let's go on to the next one. The taste of maple syrup is greatly, no, that paragraph didn't say anything about the taste. Okay, so we can just forget about this one because it didn't have anything to do with that. Okay, in order to be classified as a maple syrup in Canada, the syrup must be made only from maple sap. No, it didn't say anything about the classification of maple syrup. Okay, so it's probably not that one. Many people put maple syrup on their breakfast foods. No, it didn't say anything about breakfast foods. Maple syrup is heated, which results in a thick syrup. Did it say anything about heating that? Yes, it did. So we put A. Well, let's take a look at this, okay? Where did it say? Okay, heating to evaporate much of the water, leaving the concentrated syrup. Concentrated means thicker syrup. Okay, so yes, that is in A. Okay, Canada exports nearly $500 million of, no, it didn't say anything about exporting, right? That's probably in a different paragraph, not in paragraph A. Okay, the state of Vermont produces the most, no, it didn't talk about Vermont at all. So as soon as you see some information in one of these questions, you can just forget about it because it doesn't match. Okay, the paragraph that we read, paragraph A, it doesn't talk about Vermont at all. So we can forget about that. Okay, maple sap is starch which has been converted to sugar. Did it say anything about starch? Yes, let's take a look. Okay, where did it say this? These trees store starch in their trunks and roots before winter. The starch is then converted to sugar that rises in the sap in late winter and early spring. So that information matches, right? So we put paragraph A here, and now we can move on to paragraph B. Okay, let's read this. Maple syrup was first collected and used by the indigenous peoples of North America, and the practice was adopted by European settlers who gradually refined production methods. Technological improvements in the 1970s further refined syrup processing. The Canadian province of Quebec is by far the largest producer, responsible for 70% of the world's output. Wow, 70% of maple syrup in the world is from Quebec. That's crazy. Okay, Canadian exports of maple syrup in 2016 were 487 million, about 360 million US dollars, with Quebec accounting for some 90% of this total. Vermont is the largest producer in the United States, generating about 6% of the global supply. Okay, remember Vermont? So we can go here and we can answer the one about Vermont here. The state of Vermont produces the most maple syrup in the United States. Yes, that's B. Okay, now let's start from the top again and work our way down. So the maple leaf is a national symbol of Canada. Nope, it didn't talk about that. Now we've already answered this one, so we can forget about that. The taste of maple syrup is greatly... No, it didn't talk about the taste. In order to be classified as maple syrup in Canada, the syrup must be made only from maple sap. Did it say anything about that? No, it didn't talk about classification. Okay, many people put maple syrup on their breakfast foods. Nope, it didn't say anything about breakfast foods. We've already answered this one, so we can forget about it. Canada exported nearly $500 million of maple syrup in 2016. Yes, remember? It talked about how many dollars Canada exported. So yes, that is in paragraph B. Now we already answered these, so we don't need to answer them. Now let's move on to paragraph C, right? We're getting to the end. We only have a few questions left to answer. Okay, maple syrup is graded according to the Canada, United States, or Vermont scales based on its density and translucency. Sucrose is the most prevalent sugar in maple syrup. In Canada, syrups must be made exclusively from maple sap to qualify as maple syrup, and must also be at least 66% sugar. In the United States, a syrup must be made almost entirely from maple sap to be labeled as maple. Though states such as Vermont and New York have more restrictive definitions. Okay, so what is this all about? It's about the processing of maple syrup. So we had a question about that, right? Right here. In order to be classified as maple syrup in Canada, the syrup must be made only from maple sap. Yes, that was there. So we put paragraph C. Now let's look here. Did it say anything about the maple leaf being a national symbol? Nope, it didn't talk about that, so we can forget about that again. We already answered this one. Did it talk about the taste? The taste of maple syrup is... No, it didn't talk about the taste. We've already answered that one. Did it talk about breakfast foods? Nope, it didn't talk about breakfast foods. So we already answered that one, that one, that one, that one. Okay, now we can move on to the last paragraph. See, it's getting easier and easier, okay? Maple syrup is often used as a condiment for pancakes, waffles, French toast, oatmeal, or porridge. Breakfast foods! Wow, okay. It is also used as an ingredient in baking and as a sweetener or flavoring agent. Culinary experts have praised its unique flavor, although the chemistry responsible is not fully understood. Okay, so let's answer our last questions here. So, let's see. The taste of maple syrup is greatly admired, even though its composition has not been completely ascertained. Ascertained means understood or discovered. Okay, so that is in paragraph D. We already answered that one. Many people put maple syrup on their breakfast foods. Yes, that's also in paragraph D. I forgot to put a D here when I made this slide. So we put D here, and then we're done. We're done all of them, except this one. Maple syrup is a national symbol of Canada. Or not maple syrup, the maple leaf is a national symbol of Canada. Did it talk about that in any of the paragraphs? No, because we're finished reading all the information now and we didn't find that. So this one must be E, not in any paragraph. Okay, if you want to be sure, you can go back and look through the paragraphs again just to make sure, if you have enough time. The problem with the reading part of the CELPIP exam is that time is is always an issue. If you had all the time in the world, it would be easier, but you don't have that much time. You only have about 10 minutes for each of the tasks, okay? So you need to really manage your time well. That's why it's important to have a strategy for each task, okay? So when you get to task 3, if you like this strategy, remember, when you're going to take the exam, then when you get to task 3, you already know which strategy you're going to use. You don't have to waste time looking at the passage, looking at the questions, and trying to figure out how to answer the question. You already know what the best way is, okay? So let's take a look at the next page of my book, which is vocabulary. Maybe there were some words that you didn't understand in the reading passage, okay? Then you can look at, I put all the hard words in the reading passages on the vocabulary page, which is the page right after the question, okay? So ascertained, I already told you what that means. That means understood. Sap is a thick, sticky liquid that comes out of a tree or maybe other plants, okay? It's like that thick liquid. You've probably seen sap before. A trunk, that means the bottom part of the tree. So the sap comes out of the trunk. Exude, that means release or emit. Okay, so the tree emits the sap. It exudes or it releases the sap. Okay, they collect this sap by drilling holes into the trunk of the tree. And then I've never actually seen it, but somehow that collects sap. They put a bucket there, they hang a bucket and they put a little like a pipe out of the trunk of the tree, and then the sap runs out of the tree into the pail, and then they use that sap to make maple syrup. Okay. Now, gradually means slowly. Refine means improve. Remember, it said that the people refined the process of making maple syrup over time. That refine means they improved their process of collecting the sap and making the maple syrup. Okay, density, that means the thickness. If something is really thick, then it's dense. And if it's not very thick, then what's the opposite of dense? Dense. I don't know. Not dense. Maybe just not dense. Okay. Translucency. That means the degree of clearness. Okay. So if you can see through a liquid, then it's very translucent. Like water is very translucent. But if you can't see through it, then it's not translucent. Okay. Prevalent. That means commonly occurring. If something happens all the time, I mean, it's very prevalent. Okay, here in Calgary, snow in the winter is very prevalent. That means it snows a lot. Okay, exclusively, that means only. Remember, it said that in Canada, the regulations are that the companies can only label something as maple syrup if it's made exclusively from sap from the maple tree, right? So exclusively means only. It can only come from that sap from the maple tree. Okay, condiment. That is a sauce you put on food, such as ketchup or mustard or relish or maple syrup. Anything you put onto food, that can be called a condiment. Okay, culinary. No, culinary means anything to do with food and cooking. Okay. And unique means special. Okay, so there's my vocabulary list for this question. Now the next page is tips. So here are my tips for the question, okay? Remember that E is an option, not in any paragraph. There will probably be 1 or 2 questions that are not in any paragraph. So if the first question is E, don't waste your time trying to find which paragraph it's in. Just answer the questions that you can and return to the ones you didn't answer. Okay, so after you answer all the ones you can, the ones that you didn't answer are probably E. But like I said, if you have time, you can go back and try to check. But it's better to answer the ones you can first instead of wasting your time trying to find one answer that might not even be in the reading passage at all. Okay, so again, the strategy I would recommend for this task is to read the first paragraph, then quickly read the questions and see if there is any matching information. Hopefully you can answer 2 or 3 questions and then read the next paragraph. Okay, the reading tasks on the test will have about 400 words, same as in this book. So in my book, the reading tasks I tried to make them about the same length as on the real test. Okay, that way it's a good practice. I mean, if they were really long or really short, that probably wouldn't be very good practice for you. Okay, so if you want to practice reading articles that are the same length, I found a good website for that. Just search online for Hakai Magazine, then click on Quick Reads at the top of the website. Here is the link. Okay, so actually I'll try to put this link down there in the description so you can just click on that and go to this website. Okay, so many of the articles are between 400 and 500 words on this website. Okay, so they're like news articles or information articles on lots of different topics. So I think that's good practice. It's good to practice reading, things on different topics and articles that are the same length. Not all of them are this length, and they show the words on the article. That's the nice thing. So you can look through the articles and you can see, oh, that one has 800 words. That's too long. That one has 400. Ooh, perfect. Okay. Then you can click on that and you can read it, and you can time yourself to see how long it took you to read that article. Okay. Any kind of practice like this, I think, is really good for preparing for the reading part of the test. Okay, so all the questions in my book have tips like this as part of each question. The third part. The first part is the reading passage and the questions, and then the second part is the vocabulary, and the third part is the tips, and the fourth part is the answers to the multiple choice questions. Hey, I hope you find that helpful. If you do, I'd be so happy if you subscribe to my channel right down there. If you want more lessons like this, let me know down there in the comments. But that's it. I want to know, what do you think of this strategy? Does this strategy work for you, or do you think it's better just to read the whole passage first and then answer the questions? Let me know. I'm curious to know what you think and what works best for you. Let me know the best strategies for you to this question and other questions so that other people reading the comments can, you can help them too. Let's try to share as much information. I really want to help you guys pass this test. And I know you probably want to help other people too. So let's try to help each other get this CELPIP monkey off our back. That's an idiom in English. Get the monkey off your back. If something is bothering you, if it's weighing you down, we say, get the monkey off your back. After you pass the CELPIP, you can say, wow, I got that monkey off my back. Now I feel free. I feel much lighter. Now, anyway, okay, so let me know your answer down there in the comments, and I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.